doing NHTSA's 3-day Standardized Field Sobriety Testing class. We take the officers, give them 24 hours of training, 1 day of lecture and theory, and basically 2 days of how to perform standardized field sobriety testing so that we can make good DUI arrests on the street and get impaired drivers off the road. Targeting specifically alcohol these 2 days, the next step of this training is ARIDE, Advanced Roadside Impairment Detection Training, and that's more drug related, but begin with the building blocks of good, solid, standardized field sobriety testing, and that's what these officers are learning. Fortunately, we had 6 people that were nice enough to come out today and donate themselves to science, if you will. They did a little bit of drinking so that we could show our officers what their people's eyes do when they're impaired, and that's where we're at with this training. So volunteers, it's basically a 5-hour day. We start them drinking a little bit early so that we can get them up to a level where their eyes do what we need eyes to do when you're impaired. For the officers, it's about learning what those eyes do when you are impaired, and the biggest part of today is the mechanics of that testing, because it's standardized, so they have to issue the test in the same way to every person that they issue them to. So that's why they repetitively do tests over and over and over. The officers, it's the importance of a good, solid SFST training, right? So we want them to be able to testify well to standardized field sobriety testing so that when they make that arrest and they get on the witness stand and they have to tell a jury why this person was impaired, they can relate back to their training, back to why 2 of the 8 clues in the walk and turn demonstrates that this is an impaired driver, and 2 of the 4 clues in the one-leg stand demonstrate that that's an impaired driver. And they can also talk realistically about what horizontal gaze nystagmus is and what your eyes do when they're under the influence of alcohol. So we want them to understand the science and then be able to demonstrate and explain how they tested fairly for it.
Toe steps, all right, down the white line, okay? Once you come to that 9th step, you're going to take a series of small steps, and you're going to take 9 more steps down that line, all right? All right, it's going to look something like this, all right? 1, 2, 3, on and so forth until 9, all right? You're going to take a small series of steps, all right? Foot back on line. 1, 2, 3, on and so forth, all right?
Yeah, after that.
2, 3, 4, 5. It was a great experience. We learned a lot about field sobriety. I had training going through the academy. This is just honing in my skills and being able to see different triggers and all that kind of stuff. We've learned a lot today. A lot of information in a small amount of time. It's great information that was learned. I definitely felt like I needed it, and I definitely want to get out there and stop more impaired drivers and keep our roads safe.
6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7.
Same here.
Oh, I passed with flying colors.
I'd second that.
Just kidding.
I don't know.
There's definitely, like, with the pen test and the eye to eye, like, they take you all the way across, follow my pen, and like you could feel your eyes spasming, and that's what they're looking for. And so you definitely knew you didn't pass. But
then
you
when
tried
it
your
comes
best.
to like the straight line walking in the foothold,
Straight line
like
walking
you
in the
walk a straight
foothold,
line, you
yeah.
hold your foot up, like you feel like you do decently, but when it comes down like the eye, like the involuntary movement, you definitely probably don't pass if you're above the level.
So we went above and beyond the .08 that it was to legally drive, and I think around like the .06 and the .07 level, almost everybody that participated in this event said that they probably wouldn't drive at that point just because they felt how they felt and knew what their BAC was. And I think in a different setting, it's easy to slip past that point and then decide it's okay to then operate a motor vehicle, even though it's absolutely not. And so it's interesting to see that, with the supervision that we had and the monitoring that we had, like
in the controlled
where you
environment
were,
of like you wait 15 minutes after you drink. So I think that controlled environment was interesting for us to see because in a realistic, like, you're out and about with your friends.
Take 3 shots in a row and then wait an hour and then you don't drink at all.
But
at the same time,
But I feel like in the terms of like cops, I feel like we were obviously all very calm and under control, but I don't envy them pulling people over who are above the BAC and like being defensive. And so I think what they would have to go through is probably a lot.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah, I definitely
It's
empathize
good
with them a little bit
experience.
more. And
I want you to keep looking at the tip of my pen until the test is over, okay?
Yep.
Your best defense against the DUI driver is wearing your seatbelt. We always say wear your seatbelt as though your life depends on it, because it does. And if you see that person in front of you that you feel is impaired, it's important to dial 911 so we get them off the road and make the road safer for everyone.